Hello everyone, my name is Emily.
And my name is Amal, and this is our teaching demonstration. For this demonstration, we are looking at the second lesson in our unit about habitats.
This lesson focuses on describing habitats by using adjectives and key content vocabulary words. The focus class is a second grade standalone ESL classroom. The class consists of 15 students that are in entering, emerging, and transitioning stages. The students speak various languages including Spanish, Mandarin, and Arabic.
In this lesson, students will learn about the different habitats, their characteristics, and how the animals adapt to the habitat they live in.
Students will be actively engaged through various activities outlined through clear content and language objectives. The strategy for this lesson was planned based on the SIOP model, which stands for Sheltered Instruction Observational Protocol. The goal of the SIOP model is to make content comprehensible for English language learners.
English language skills are integrated with the teaching of content. To be successful academically, English language learners must understand and use the academic language of the classroom. For this demo lesson, we attempted to include the features of the SIOP model through content and language objectives, modeling, teaching vocabulary, scaffolded instruction, and group work.
Our content objective is that students will identify the characteristics of the rainforest and desert habitats. Our language objectives are students will be able to describe habitats by using key content vocabulary and descriptive words. Students will also use pre-taught and new vocabulary and information from the video to participate in a whole group discussion about the features and characteristics of each habitat. Students will also describe habitats in written form by using the sentence frames, there is blank, a blank has blank, and a blank is blank.
The TESOL standards for this lesson are based on Standard 1 and Standard 4. Standard 1 states, English language learners communicate for social, intercultural, and instructional purposes within the school setting. Standard 4 states, English language learners communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the area of science. For our science standards, we use the Next Generation Standards, which state making observation of plants and animals to compare the diversity of life in different habitats. For our Common Core standards, we use the speaking and listening standards for second grade in SL 2.1, SL 2.2, and SL 2.6. SL 2.1 states participate in collaborative conversation with diverse partners about grade 2 topics and texts with peers and adults in small and larger groups. SL 2.2 states recount or describe key ideas or details from a text read aloud or information presented orally or through other media. And SL 2.6 states produce complete sentences when appropriate to task and situation in order to provide requested detail or clarification.
In this lesson, we will discuss two different habitats that provide homes to many plants and animals around the world. It is significant for students to explore habitats and discover the natural environment around them. A habitat is a place where living things live, survive, and grow. It includes 5 important features including food, water, shelter, space, and air. Humans, plants, and animals choose their habitats based on their basic needs. There are many different habitats, and it is important for students to understand how the habitats differ and how each animal has these different needs that can only be provided for them in these certain habitats. For the warm-up activity, the teacher will activate students' prior knowledge by asking them to think back to the previous lesson and have a mini discussion on what a habitat is, the basic needs of all living things, and the 4 discussed habitats including vocabulary.
The students will be guided to brainstorm about the different types of habitats that animals may live in. Some examples of animals will be given as a suggestion to think about. The students will be able to share some of their ideas with the class in a discussion format. Being that the students come from various countries and backgrounds, to make the content relevant to students' lives, the teacher will begin by asking students to share anything they know about the desert or rainforest habitat, if they have been to either habitat, or a time they have seen or heard about either habitat through books or movies. By keeping the lesson relevant to their lives, students are able to connect to their learning and be in control of it. According to the creators of the SIOP model, teachers are urged to activate students' background knowledge explicitly and provide links from their experiences to the key concepts. The interactive emphasis of the SIOP model enables teachers to elicit students' prior knowledge and discuss ideas, issues, concepts, or vocabulary that are unfamiliar to them in order to develop necessary background information.
For the first activity, the room will be set up into 2 different stations. Each station will have photographs that depict the rainforest and the desert habitat. The students will use a See, Think, Wonder approach to discuss the photographs of the habitats with their group. Students will spend a few minutes in each station before they are instructed to rotate. For the activity, students will be given the sentence frames, I see, I think, and I wonder. The teacher will listen in on students' conversations to informally assess language development as well as what the students already know about the habitats and what misconceptions they may have. After students discuss the photos with their peers, they will discuss their observations as a class while the teacher charts their thinking on paper. This approach will stimulate students' curiosity and allow them to make predictions. Students are also developing their speaking and listening skills when they are discussing what they see among their peers. Images are a great way of scaffolding information to students. It is important for students to be able to have this visual representation to aid them in grasping concepts.
For our second activity, the teacher will reinforce adjectives by informing students that they will learn language to help them describe animals and where they live. The teacher will review what adjectives are. An adjective is a word used to describe a noun, a person, place, or thing. As a class, we will list some adjectives that students may use to describe habitats. Some examples are hot, cold, the different colors, dry, and wet. Teacher will introduce new descriptive words and provide visuals as well as translations in native languages as a support for understanding. Some examples of new vocabulary are tropical and humid. This will support both oral and academic language. Studies of vocabulary instruction show that second language learners learn more words through explicit instruction. The teacher will have 2 different anchor charts with a picture labeled rainforest and desert. The students will be informed that they will be watching a video on the rainforest habitat and the desert habitat. As students are watching the video, the teacher will stop the video after each habitat to reflect on what they learned. Teacher will ask questions such as, what is the weather or climate like in the rainforest? What are some things you see in the rainforest, and what does it look like? Students will have opportunities to turn and talk with their partners. Utilizing and combining graphics, video, and audio can address varied styles of learning in a more effective way and be a tremendous support to English language learners. Students will be encouraged to use descriptive words. Teacher will model how to describe the habitat using adjectives before asking students to do it. Teacher will chart down information about each habitat under the appropriate anchor chart.
For the final activity, each group will be given a worksheet with a picture of a habitat, either the desert or the rainforest. Students will practice describing images of the rainforest and the desert with a partner orally and in writing depending on their proficiency level. Students will use what they learn to complete the worksheet. Students will describe the habitat using sentence frames and word banks to provide scaffolding.
Our classroom has 3 levels of English language learning development. They are entering, emerging, and transitioning. In order to differentiate instruction for all our learners, our entering students will work with the teacher. They will receive images of the rainforest and desert and be asked to orally describe the habitat. A word bank with visuals as well as sentence starters will also be provided for them. Our emerging students will be provided with images of the rainforest and desert and sentence frames such as, a rainforest has blank, a rainforest is blank, a desert has blank, a desert is blank. They will also be provided with a word bank with descriptive words they could use in their writing. Our transitioning students will be provided with images of the rainforest and desert and sentence frames to support with their writing. To consider our special populations, based on the needs of the IEP, the students will be able to orally describe the habitat given during the group work activity.
Students will be informally assessed during whole group and small group discussions. We will be thinking if the student was able to describe the habitat using appropriate descriptive language, and was the student able to generate ideas about the different habitats after watching the video. Students will be formally assessed in their ability to use adjectives to describe the images during small group work. We will be thinking if the student was able to describe the photo, and was the student able to fill in the blank to complete the sentence frames given.
To review the lesson, students will gather together in the meeting area for a class discussion. Students will have the opportunity to show the picture of the habitat that was given to them. As a class, we will discuss and describe the different features of the habitats. At the end of the lesson, students will reflect on their learning in relation to the objectives. At the end of the lesson, students will preview for the next day by being asked to think about the animals that might live in the different habitats. For homework, students will draw and label either a desert or rainforest with some of the characteristics that they learned. For our home connection, parents and guardians will be provided with a letter introducing our new unit of study on habitats. Parents will be asked to talk to their children about the different animals in their home countries and to describe the habitats they live in. This will allow the students to make a connection between the content learned in school and their personal backgrounds. Our focus for this lesson was to have students learn about the different characteristics of the desert and rainforest habitat, while also teaching them the language that they need to be able to describe the habitats. English language learners are being tested on the same standards as their native English-speaking peers. Therefore, we felt that the SciUp model would be the most beneficial for our students to gain both the content skills as well as the language skills needed to meet the standards.